Well, in our region, Democrats secured several wins, including the closely watched 6th congressional district seat in Maryland. The Associated Press this morning has now called that race for Democrat April McLean Delaney over Republican Neil Parrott. Virginia's 10th district is another bright spot for Democrats. Suhas Subramaniam beat out Republican Mike Clancy 52% to 48% to replace retiring Democratic Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton. President-elect Donald Trump has just over 2 months now to build his team by the January 20th inauguration day. His decisive win evident across the country. Look at that map. Republicans will retake control of the United States Senate, and they are on the brink, although they haven't done it just yet, of maintaining control of the House of Representatives. I want to welcome back in to get started this morning Brian Kelly. He's the editor-at-large with U.S. News and World Report and the executive vice president. You've covered many elections for years here. What was your gut takeaway from what we saw on Tuesday?
Yeah, so I guess I do go back a little ways, Tom, to including Jimmy Carter, and it actually reminds me a lot of 1980 when Reagan swept in with a map that looked a lot like the map you had. It was a real revolution. They called it the Reagan Revolution, and that was not an exaggeration. This may not be a revolution fully, but it's the beginning of something, and it is it's a real repudiation of the prior regime. It really, to me, it's the death of Obamaism. In many ways, it's the end of the progressive run. If you go back to, again, Reagan, that began with LBJ and the liberal ascension. And Reagan ended that and said, we got to move to a more conservative governing philosophy, which lasted a long time. We'll see whether this is that or not.
It has not been since, and I know you didn't cover this, but Grover Cleveland was the last president who had left the presidency, came back and won it again. All of the things, the headwinds that faced Donald Trump, the criminal cases, the allegations about his personal behavior, all of it was not enough to upend what was a wave across this country for Donald Trump. How do you think voters weighed that calculation? Was it just the economy, or is there something about Trump that people lean into?
I think it's both of those, and I think, with Trump, it's always been this issue of you have to separate the guy and his behavior and his personality from the aspects of him that are substantive. And some of it is, immigration he had fixed that problem. It's still baffling to me and other people why Biden came in and changed all the rules. It was working. And that has been a thorn in the Democrat side from day one. So that was a big win right there. Inflation is inflation. The sources are complicated, but the effect of it on people is not at all complicated. They're unhappy. And you have, other things like energy prices. There was a case, very progressive policy, said we've got to cut back, we've got to do, electric vehicles. It's not working in the marketplace. And Trump comes along, and he's got a pretty clear set of things that he can say, I'm going to do it a different way. And that's what it resonated.
So President-elect Trump has made a number of promises. I'm going to throw up a screen panel here of just some of the things that he talked about throughout the campaign. You just mentioned immigration reform. This second one is something that people here in the Beltway are paying particular attention to right now. Overhaul of government agencies, and particularly because of the involvement now of Elon Musk. What does inside Washington look at right now over the next couple of years with a second Trump administration? His first one, he'd never really been a player in Washington before. He spent 4 years as president. He knows where the levers are now. What should people expect?
Musk is a real wild card. But again, he was very influential. He was not just the guy cheerleading this. He was putting his money in there. He's a remarkable character, is capable of all kinds of things. A lot of this gets into the realm of civil service reform and how can you actually fire federal workers? Can you shut down agencies? I think it's going to be a lot harder than perhaps Trump thinks it is. He has a huge mandate of sorts the day he shows up, and his power begins to diminish day by day unless he gets some wins. And one of the questions is, where's he going to get a win? Reforming the federal government workforce is a pretty big thing to take on, and I don't think he's going to get a win there.
Well, he's also talked about drilling for oil in the United States. He's talked about ending the war in Ukraine. Hasn't really ever said how he would end the war in Ukraine. You know, a lot of people are also looking at this in Israel right now and wondering what this means for Gaza. How differently will the Trump foreign policy look now in the second Trump 2.0 than the first time around?
Yeah, he has set himself up. He's teed up some big things, and you know, as we know in politics, if you don't deliver, this whole mandate could be crumbling by, you know, July of next year. He's got to make some things happen. I think energy's a place where he can do a lot. He can start drilling. I mean, we can, you know, gas prices go down. People see that. They recognize it. He's lucky that inflation is already going down. The economy probably is going to get better next year. Fixing the war in Ukraine, wow. I mean, that's not an easy task at all.
You know, Brian, at the top of this, we had a map that showed the United States. I don't know if we can bring that back up, of what states went for Donald Trump and what states went for Kamala Harris. Look at this. Now, the pre-election polls, Brian, were telling us that this was a 50-50 race, that this was, you know, really narrow and really close. This doesn't look really narrow or really close. What's wrong with polling?
People don't tell the truth,
Yeah.
I think. You know, and I don't know enough of certain polls did pretty well. Some of them did really terrible. They should have known from the last time that Trump voters feel, and many potential Trump voters feel, that they don't want to be public about it. They don't want to talk about it. Their friends and neighbors. You know, you look at the places. New Jersey started moving toward Trump. New York started moving. So there were a lot of people who, and maybe they were on the fence. Maybe they decided late. There was some evidence of that. You know, Harris had a surge early, and then she kind of peaked, and people gave Trump a second look. You had the assassination attempt. You had things moving in his favor later on. But you know, this is real. People really wanted to go this direction for specific reasons. Yeah.
All right, Brian Keller from U.S. News and World Report. We thank you so much for taking the time to join us live this Saturday for insight and analysis.